Cream. Who's a good cream? Who's a good cream? You're a good cream. Now, don't break anything. Don't knock anything over. You can just move about your ways. Good job. Good job, Cream. Hi, welcome to More Than Meets the Eye. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and that's my co-host, Cream the Cat. Today's video will be about Transformers Studio Series, Transformers 1, Sentinel Prime. I'm happy I got a Sentinel Prime. I do wish I had gotten the Studio Series Sentinel Prime from Dark of the Moon, the Leonard Nimoy Prime. I really regret not getting that one because, we don't get enough aircraft fire trucks. So that was really cool. He's on my want list. I definitely want to try and get him one day. I really wish I had grabbed him in the store when I found him. But this is a really nice figure. And today we're going to go into his vehicle mode in depth, and we're going to talk about him and compare him to a couple of other vehicles. Specifically, we'll compare him to Cyclonis because his vehicle shape and Cyclonis' vehicle shape are very similar. So I'll give you a comparison and talk about like the differences between them and what has changed between the two molds. Because they are distinctly different molds, but they end up being very similar shapes. And I want to make sure that I made that statement clear. So let's go over this figure real quick, just kind of feel over him and stuff. First off, I do want to mention that when you get this guy in his vehicle mode, he's a solid vehicle mode. Nothing wiggles, nothing rattles. This is a solid figure. Like, this guy gets, he doesn't get enough love in my opinion because he is a good figure overall. So let's take a look at down here. Now, I don't like the fact that his face is showing, and I tried to cover him up with the mask, but I couldn't get the mask out last video. That's kind of a negative on this, is that to transform it correctly, his face does have to be showing. If you twist the face around and try to transform it, it just won't transform properly. There's something about his little ear holes that works with the connection for the nose. It doesn't work if he's turned around. So let's go from nose tip to tail and wingtip to wingtip and talk about the feel of this figure and what I like and dislike about him. I mean, we've already started on that process. So first off, I would want to mention that throughout this entire model, there are panels that are put in here. Like even at the front area, we got all these little panels that he's got. He's got so many paneled lines. And it does make him feel like a machine built from multiple different pieces. And it comes together quite nicely. It really screams sci-fi. It really screams spaceship, weird alien ship with these lines. And I like the little cockpit here. It's super small and super sleek, and it's appropriate for the fact like he doesn't have anybody that ever rides in him. So it's perfect. I love it when cybertronian modes manage to kind of get off the sense of a cockpit, but they don't have one. And that's because, Cybertronians don't necessarily have biologicals riding around in them. The only ones that should have cockpits are the ones that are huge and have other Cybertronians inside of them. Now, when it comes to them going to other planets with biologicals and taking on those forms, it makes sense that they have cockpits and stuff for biologicals to be in, but for the most part, they don't. And I approve of that. I like that. It works. Especially whenever I consider if I was a giant robot that had, that didn't know tiny things existed, would I make my alternate form something that could carry tiny things? No. Could carry minicons? Yeah, probably, because minicons are cool. So let's continue. So that's a little cockpit. It's nice. It's very small, but you can feel it. There's a little indents around the edges of it, and what I love most about it is it feels like it doesn't even really have windows. It feels like it's just kind of a bump in there to be where the head goes. I like it. I do. I think that's a nice little cockpit, and I love how they managed to make it more Cybertronian. Coming down to the sides, we get these. He's got a very thin fuselage coming all the way down to his wings, where they spread out and they make a W shape. He's got W wings, and the top of this figure feels really, really well done. Though it is a bit rough. Like this guy's not as aerodynamic as you would think, but then again, he doesn't really need aerodynamics. He's a spaceship. So let's remove the shield and the null rays that I have on the shield. I'm going to set that off to the side so we can get a good look at the back of this thing on the fuselage. We're dragging our fingers from the cockpit all the way back to the tail, and we've got more of these lines in here that we can feel, this intricate structure work that they've managed to etch into the plastic. Very well done. The rectangular tab that the shield connects to, I really wish that the shield had a siege peg on it so that they could have turned that into a port, and then they could have turned the ones on the sides of his arms for the shield to plug into ports as well, and I think that would have looked a lot better than these little rectangular slots. That also, it would have allowed me to use this shield on other figures, and I do love that about this siege port stuff and the ability to just give weapons and equipment to other characters. And I would love to be able to give this shield, because it's kind of a cool shield, to anybody else. But I don't know anybody else with this type of port. So it isn't like this shield can go to anybody else. And thank goodness the null rays are different. And the null rays here have 5mm ports, so they can be given to anybody. But this shield, no. No, the shield is just Sentinel Prime's shield. He's got the connectors for it, and that is a shame. Where's the world building there? Come on, guys, talk to your GI Joe classified team, and get updates on how to world build. So that's something that did kind of annoy me. But I do like the little. Other than that, we come back here to between the tail fins, and the tail fins are really well done. Sometimes they just give us a tail fin that's like half. And I got one right here. I got an aerial bot that we're going to do for size comparison, so I can really take a look at this and describe it to you better. So this aerial bot here, he's got tail fins, and the tail fins on one side aren't as nice. I mean, they got some parts in them, like this has got some venti stuff at the back end. It feels like that, but for the most, they're just the little flaps. But his wings, for Sentinel Prime's wings, are etched in there. There's some more etching in there, and each side is fully fleshed out with I don't remember this guy's name. This is the aerial bot that has the thicker back end when he's in vehicle mode. And we're going to rotate his tail fin around, and he's not the Harrier jet. He's the F-14, I want to say. But we turn his little tail wing around, and we see that it's got waffling on one side, and it's got waffling there, and that's just a lot of waffling. And why does something this small need this much waffling? It's so sad. And we move it back around, and you get that nice flushed look on the other side. Really well done on the sides that are etched, but that's something that this guy has that the aerial bots don't. He's got etching on both sides of those fins, and that is excellent, and it feels great in the hand. They feel solid. They feel wonderful. We come around here to the back end, and we got these barrel engines, as I call them, because they remind me of Lego barrels. Like, they feel like they're similar in size to Lego barrels. And I used to have a Lego barrel up here around where my stuff fit, but I think it's fallen off and gotten lost to time. Which, one of those things of I don't ever really look for things, so if it falls off and I don't notice it, I don't notice it. Oh well. But they feel like Lego barrels, and that's kind of a shame. Like, I wish they were a bit smaller, because they're not blast effect compatible, and that is a big upset for these engines. They feel amazing. They got the ridges in them. They've got this little band that runs around them. Really nice feeling engines, and it feels like the ends here can actually spread out or shrink down depending on how much thrust needs to be given, and that's really cool. That's really cool. It's just a shame that you can't put any blast effects in there. Now, the wings, we're moving on to the wings. We've got some really okay wings, but this is where the waffling comes in. We've got this wing bit on the end, this little flappy doodle on the end that has a nice little tip to it, and really nice line work in the wing. Well, not the nicest compared to the tail fins, but it's there. But it's very slight in comparison. But on the underside, we've got a bunch of waffling that happens here. Really, waffling always makes me sad. It makes me sad whenever I come across waffling in places like wings, where it's just like, why didn't you just finish it out? It would have been okay. Now, the other side, it's the same way, and the wings don't really like to sit in their spots, so they do kind of like to move around, and you can do some fan stuff like moving the wings upwards, or or actually, no, we're gonna move them back. Yeah, we're gonna swish the wings back. This is super speed mode. He's going so fast his wings broke. Uh, now, we're going to flip the character over to the back end because there's not really much to talk about on the top here, except that there is a joint here, and I do want to mention this. This is one of those instances that I absolutely love and adore whenever it comes to hinges. Whoever designed this, designed it so that the hinge feels like it's a gun, and it's even got kind of a gun barrel edge at the front there on each side, and it turns these hinges into weapons, and I love that. I love that that feels like these hinges are null rays that are on either side of him, and that works out very, very well because otherwise it would just be an ugly hinge. But a gun barrel is round like a hinge. That's clever, really clever. And to you, I give 2 thumbs up. That was a good move. Good job. Now, flipping him around here to the underside, and we've got some robot kibble. Not really as much as you would think, but still like the arm stuff, and where it connects to those ports. There's some robot kibble back under here, especially the fact that his face is visible. But then again, this is a cybertronian vehicle. He's not he's not a robot in disguise. He's just a robot in a transportation form. That's all. The kibble makes sense for a cybertronian because he's not trying to hide the fact that he's a robot that's a jet. He's just a robot that's a jet, and everybody knows this. So that's what you get here. You get some robot kibble on the underside, but for this type of vehicle, it's acceptable. It's an acceptable thing. Like very rarely, the Decepticons in G1 did have a few Decepticons like Soundwave who could hide from other Transformers and had modes to hide from other Transformers, but that was the exception, not the norm. So that is him in a nutshell. As this figure goes, when it comes to everything, I like him a lot. I like the fact that you can take and we're going to pull his little shoulder pauldrons up that become the front of the wings, and we can actually pull out these little guns. So, mid-flight, he can just engage these little weapons and fire them at things, but definitely not aerodynamic. We're going to fold up the little shoulder pauldron wings, they're just under the wing. It's okay. The last thing I want to talk about on him before I give you the final grade is the fact that his big old barrel hands, the gun hand things like Mega Man, they're pretty neat, but I don't like the fact they're not blast effect compatible. Like that is a big upset. Like you couldn't have made them, pardon me, you couldn't have made them blast effect compatible. That is a shame. That is just a shame. So you've got all these engines and no blast effects available to put in these engines. And so that's why I'm going to leave it off with the statement of this guy I think would be a lot better in robot mode all the time. His vehicle mode is quite amazing. It is a fun little Cybertronian vehicle mode, but due to its inability with blast effects, I prefer the robot mode over him, his monarch form, if you will, because he's a king and he becomes a butterfly bot, so of course he's the monarch. Doctor, I'll get you, Dr. Venture. All right, now let's get into the grading for Helm. So grade-wise, I'm going to give this vehicle mode a B+. It's got a lot going on it. It's a really fun mode, but I don't like the non-blast effect compatibility. You've got, and the fact that the shield can only be on this character and it can't go to anybody else. Those you seem to have forgotten about all the world building we've been doing since Siege started. And you got all these blast effects and stuff, and we can use them. And it's just, why can't we use them on Helm? Why is it that this figure seems to just ignore all the work done? And that's the same with Studio Series, the movie Devastator. Everything in that guy weapon-wise, or just about all the weapons, aren't going to be blast effect compatible. Like Devastator's big gun, not blast effect compatible. Mixmaster's shoulder cannons, not blast effect compatible. And what's up with that? Why is it that we're getting things that aren't blast effect compatible. This is not the only instance of it, and I'm starting to see something here that I don't want to see, and that's the moving away from the blast effects. And I really hope that we don't do that, and we don't move away from 5mm ports, because it has been working very well, and I, as a collector, have enjoyed it. So let's get into the size comparisons now. We have, for a size comparison, the F-14 Jet, and he's the aerial bot, so we're going to put him on top first. You can take a look. I'm going to put his engines at the back of the thing, and then his nose is going to go boop right there, right to the little divot where the hinge is for Sentinel Prime's nose. That's pretty good. I'm going to look him up from the underside. Comparison, wingspan wise, Sentinel Prime's got it on this little cat, and yeah, there it is. Pretty good. Weight wise, actually, they are similar in weight. Sentinel Prime is heavier, but this little aerial bot's got some weight on it. All right, now next little comparison is I've got Lockdown here with all of his just all of the guns. I've given him so many weapons, and we're gonna compare Lockdown to this because that Walmart exclusive Lockdown is just a fun figure. So we've got gonna compare him bumper to that, and there we go. His vehicle mode goes all the way up to just below the yeah, just to the little hinged door thing that Sentinel Prime has on his chest. Width wise, Sentinel Prime's definitely wider. Weight wise, Sentinel Prime's definitely heavier. Actually, Lockdown's pretty light. Even with all the weapons I gave him, he's still not as heavy as this little aerial bot, which is funny, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? These guys are about the same size, but one is definitely more weighty. Now, finally, the one that I've been wanting to show you is Cyclonis, because Sentinel Prime feels like he is Cyclonis light. He's got the shape of Cyclonis. Let's take off your shield so we can do this right. So I'm gonna compare them. I'm gonna grab them each by the nose. There we go.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
All right, so here they are. Now look at them. They are very similar to one another. Very, very similar to one another. We'll compare them to engine butt to engine butt, and let's see which one is longer. So we've got Cyclonis is actually just a smidge, just a little bit longer with his very thin nose, but very, very similar in dimensions. Wingtips wise, let's see. Oh wow. Yeah. Wow. Very, very, very close to one another in size when it comes to wingtips. That is wild. Wingtip to wingtip. Sentinel Prime's got the wider wing spread than Cyclonis. But Cyclonis has landing gear. Sentinel Prime does not have landing gear, so Cyclonis is winning on that. Cyclonis and Sentinel Prime both have these little winglets on top, the little fins up above, and they're both very well done. They both have 4 engines, but Cyclonis's 4 engines are all blast effect compatible, so you can just throw in a bunch of blast effects. And I gave him 2 more engines underneath each of his wings, so Cyclonis has got 6 engines. He can really haul ass when he wants to, and that's awesome that he's got they're all blast effect compatible. Sentinel Prime's got 4 engines. Are they blast effect compatible? No, they are not. Can you attach more things to his wings to give him more engines? No. His winglets do not have siege ports on them, which is just a big, big, big letdown. The only really siege ports available in this vehicle mode are on the shoulder, or on the shield, or one on each arm. And the way that these arms are set up, if you give him his null rays on his arms, they actually face down towards the engines. Here, I'll give you an example real quick. We got a null ray right here. Come on, pull it off. All right. So we've got this little null ray, and nope, this can't use this one. And I wonder if you're supposed to use these null rays as the landing gear, because it's got this little nubbin at the bottom. But we gotta plug in the null ray to that siege peg on the side of his arm. so you can take a look at something I don't like, but I want to show you because maybe you will find a use for it. But there it is. It just kind of plugs in backwards. He can't shoot forwards with it, and that's a shame. It seems like the vehicle mode was half-hearted in Sentinel Prime, and that's why we're going to give him a B+. Cyclonis is still the GOAT. Cyclonis is still the S+ category of vehicle mode. He's just solid, put together. Everything is wonderful. And yes, I do have S+ and S- in my grading system, but very rarely does anything get any sort of degree on that. And this guy's specifically an S+ figure. Cyclonis is a figure that if you don't own Cyclonis, you need to in your Transformers collection, just because he is exceptional all around. So, final thoughts and feelings. Sentinel Prime, is he worth it? Yeah, I think so. I think he's an excellent Transformer. He's got great posability. His vehicle mode is all right. It's not the best, but it's better than some I've seen. And his transformation isn't bad at all. It's a little simplistic, definitely simplistic when you compare him to Cyclonis, but it's a decent transformation. So all in all, I think it is a decent figure to get a hold of, especially if you can find it on sale. Does it break the mold? Does it surpass expectations? No, it does not. But is it a decent one? Yes, it is. I've been Blind Prime, and this thing sleeping over here to the side of the video has been Cream the cat. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and please like, share, and subscribe. Until next Prime, bye-bye for now.